What's going on, guys? This is BunnyMuffins. I have the 10.16 tier list. One special thing about this patch is that this is the patch that the world qualifiers are going to be played on for pretty much all regions, so this is a very important patch, so let's get into what compositions are good. So there are a couple of changes in the past patch, mainly just item changes. There are a couple minor nerfs to Master Yi, minor nerf to Astro Sniper, but overall, like pretty much every composition is playable. You'll notice here that I say like S tier might really be A plus tier, B tier might really be A minus tier, just because all these compositions are really close together. So with that in mind, let's just do a quick rundown of the comps. It's Mech and S tier. It's just slightly better than everything else, in my opinion, just because it's easy to play, easy to hit, and super strong, obviously. A tier, Protectors, E-Girl, Sniper, Blademasters, Cybernetics, Battlecast, Shredder, Blaster, Brawler. B tier, Vanguard Mystic, Darkstar, and BBQ Rumble. So now let's get into the composition. So S tier, this is the standard mech build pretty much. You just play mech and then you just add Victor and then you play 4 to 5 other units. They could be anything. They could be Mystic. They could be a bunch of random legendaries. Literally anything works with them. You could either go the Quicksilver Sash Bramble Vest build with another good third item such as like a Titan's Resolve. Or you could go the Dodge Mech, which is Quicksilver, Trap Claw, and Shroud of Stillness. It makes a Bramble Vest not necessary because you dodge a lot of the attacks anyways from the physical damage. And obviously, Shroud of Stillness still very good. This is a pretty easy comp to play. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I added a quick section on how to play every composition. So if you want like a quick like 1 or 2 sentence guide on how to play everything, just go ahead and check that out on my website, bunnymuffins.lol/meta. You guys already know where to find this list, but in case you're new, that's where you should go for a tier list that's updated every Friday. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to get better at TFT. If you're enjoying this so far, go ahead and hit the like as well, but let's just keep going on with the tier list. So we have in A tier Protectors. Nothing much has really changed with this build. You pretty much do, it's very similar to the mech build. Instead of playing the mech, you play 3 Protectors and then run a bunch of legendaries. Of course, you want Urgot for the 4th Protector, but he's not 100% necessary. You could also drop Jarvan and Rakan, just play Nico and Urgot in the late game. Run a bunch of the expensive units. Run some Janna, run some Xerath, Lulu, Aurelion Sol, Echo, Fizz. Those types of champions are going to be really good with this composition. Note that you can't really play this comp unless you get a really good start, because you won't be able to make it to the stage where you can roll for all the legendaries if you're dead by the time you're like level 7 or level 8. So only go for level 9 when you're doing this composition. If you're like playing Protectors and you're like dying, go into something like Darkstar, because that'll let you hopefully get maybe like a top 6 or a top 4 instead. So now let's go into the next composition, Star Guardian Sorcerers. This is another composition that can be played from Protectors. Notice how they both use the Warmogs. They both have 2 Protectors. You don't need to run the Protectors with the Star Guardian Sorcerer composition, but if you have the Warmogs, you might as well run the Rakan, because Protector with Warmogs is completely broken. Guardian Angel is also really good on Nico. Obviously, like the items I have here, Ionic Spark, Shroud of Stillness, super good. This composition relies on a Janna carry as well, and you could use like a Syndra item holder in the mid-game, sell her, buy a new Syndra at level 1, put her in, put all the mana items on Janna, and go from there. Victor's another great carry that you can use if you have the Star Guardian Spatula. Apart from that, you just add in Mystic, play other just strong units. So next up, we have Sniper. Sniper is in a very interesting spot. It's one of those compositions where you need to roll at level 8 because you're looking for so many different forecasts, but there are a bunch of different transitions you could go into in order to get to this composition. I go into it a little here, so I won't say how to do everything right now just because it's going to take too long. Essentially, you try to fast 8, hopefully at 4-3 you have a bunch of gold, you roll down, hit all the forecasts. Notice how I only have 7 units here, but at level 8 you can run Bard instead of Gnar and then add in another Mystic for 2 Mystic, and then at level 9 add Gnar back in, replace Bard for a different Mystic, and go from there. Super strong composition. You obviously want to prioritize items on Teemo. Blue buff, super important, but I've seen people win even without a blue buff on Teemo. Jhin, on the other hand, can use any generic sword items. Last Whisper, surprisingly, it's still good, but it's not super amazing because Teemo should kill all the armored units. So you don't really need a Last Whisper on Jhin, but I just have it here just because IE Last Whisper is such a powerful combination. But any sword item, great on Jhin. So moving on, we have the 6 Blademaster composition. This is a very strong composition. There are a couple ways to play it. One is going for 3-star everything, so you go for 3-star Shen, 3-star Zed, Yasuo, and Master Yi. Another way to do it is only going for like 3 stars you are hitting pretty naturally. Let's say you have a lot of Shens, go ahead and 3-star Shen, but maybe you just stop at level 2 Master Yi, then you go level 9, play a Fizz, play an Echo, play an Aurelion Soul instead of the Zed. That's another path you could do as well. It's pretty much, if you guys haven't noticed a trend yet, the legendaries are super strong right now. So you pretty much just play whatever comp you can and then just add in the legendaries in the late game. But on this composition, you pretty much just roll at level 7 to stabilize and then see whether you could go for 3-star Yi or if you need to level up to play the legendaries. Next up, we have Cybernetics. Cybernetics, I love them right now just because they make such great use with just 2 items. So Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, Vayne, still going to be the best items and most important items for Cybernetics. You could also make use of a lot of random items by just putting it on random units because they make use of the Cybernetic buff. If they're holding an item, they get health and attack damage. That's why I really like this composition because you could play it pretty much every game. You just need 2 items. The other 6 or 7 that you get just literally don't matter. You also rely on a 3-star carry instead of a 4-star carry, so it's easier to hit the Vayne 2 and stabilize super early in order for you to get some sort of like direction in terms of where to go in that game. For example, you'll be able to easily tell if you need to roll more at your current stage if you don't have Vayne 2 or if you're low health. Or you can decide to go towards level 9, go for the late game, get Thresh, pull in some great units just because you stabilize so early. That's what I really like about this comp because it's like pretty easy to play because a lot of decisions are pretty much made for you. Next up, we have the Battlecast comp. Battlecast is a little tricky. So the only important 3-star unit, this is a slow roll composition. Slow rolling means rolling excess gold above 50. So if you have 60 gold, you roll it back down to 50. And then you do this at level 5 for this composition. So the only important units to 3-star are Alawi and Graves. Nocturne's optional, and believe it or not, Kog'Maw's optional. There's not too much of a difference between Kog'Maw 2-star and Kog'Maw 3-star. So once you hit Graves 3, once you hit Alawi 3, go ahead and power level to level 9. Try to fit in Urgot for 6 Battlecasts if you don't have the Battlecast spatula. Go ahead and throw in Mystics or just like any generally strong units. But this comp's pretty good just because it's great in the mid game, so you can knock a lot of people out in the mid game in order to prevent them from reaching their late game potential. Okay, so next up we have the Shredder composition. Shredder, it's a slow roll comp again, but you only really care about 3-star Xayah. The rest are pretty optional. Although Jarvan, Fiora, Shen, they're all really good to hit, right? If you get them to 3-star, you really only need Xayah. Once you get Xayah, you want to catch up in levels, go to level 8 so you could put in 6 Blademaster and fit in Rakan and Jarvan for Celestial and Protector. And then after that, maybe go level 9, throw in a Janna if people are running 6 Vanguard against you or like a lot of armor. That's one way to counteract those compositions, but yeah, just play any sort of strong unit. This build's really easy. The difficulty should be easy, not medium, because you just really need to slow roll for Xayah, and if you hit, you hit. I really only recommend playing this on the galaxies which give a lot of gold because, again, you need that gold in order to hit the Xayah in like a reasonable time frame. Again, I have instructions on how to play all these comps, so just go to the how to play section if you ever want to get more in depth on these compositions. It's like just a quick couple sentences just so you could pretty much queue up in your next game and know exactly what to do as long as you have the principles of the game down. The next composition we have is Blaster Brawler. This comp's still really good. Jinx carry, pretty decent. There are better carries. That's why it's kind of lower on the list because it's slightly weaker than everything else. But if you're hitting the Jinx for free, if you have a bunch of attack damage items, you might as well just go Jinx. It's still really good. And if you get Aurelion Soul too, that's like one of your win conditions. The game can't go that wrong for you. Gangplank's kind of optional. You don't really need to run him. You could run like 2 Mystics instead of Gangplank and Ziggs if you need magic resistance. Or you can just run like Fizz Echo, because Fizz Echo is such a great combo as well. Like, these two are the flexible units. You could just run any random units that you have 2-star instead. The core is just the Nard, the Ezreal, the Blitz, the Vi, the Malphite, and the Jinx. Next up, we have the B tier. These comps are a little weaker than everything else we've mentioned, but they still have their spots in the game. So Vanguard Mystic, you either go 6 Vanguard, 2 Mystic, or you go 4 Vanguard, 4 Mystic. It depends on your lobby. If there are a lot of Cybernetic players, a lot of Xayah players, go for the 6 Vanguard build. If there's more magic damage, go for the 4 Vanguard, 4 Mystic. Super late into the game, you drop some of the units and maybe go like 4 Vanguard, 2 Mystic, or 2 Vanguard, 2 Mystic, and then just run a bunch of legendaries that we talked about before. Those are the Aurelion Souls, the Urgots, the Echoes, the Jannas. All those units are really good. And one great thing about this is that Cassiopeia holds blue buff for Urgot and holds Morello Nomicon for Aurelion Soul. So you have like a great item holder, and if you have the gold to get to the super late game, go ahead and level up to level 9. roll down for the 2-star legendary, sell your Cassiopeia, and just run the strong units with the Vanguard frontline. That's something that's really good, and knowing how to do that makes a difference between like a decent Vanguard Mystic player and a great Vanguard Mystic player. Another thing you need to be careful about with Vanguard Mystic is that you have to scout a lot, because you have to know when to put in 6 Vanguard, when to put in 4 Vanguard, 4 Mystic. So it's a bit of a difficult comp to play. Just a fair warning before you try this at home. So next up we have the Dark Stars. Dark Star, I like them a lot because they're very flexible. They use a lot of different items, and they have different rolling thresholds that they could take advantage of. For example, if you want to fast 8 because you're pretty healthy in the mid game, you can go ahead and fast 8. If you want to fast 9, you could do that as well. If you're running low on health, you could roll on 4-1 at level 7 without completely damaging your chances of winning the game. Like a lot of different compositions like Astro Snipers, where they pretty much need to roll on level 8, you don't have the option to roll at level 7. So if you ever get a bad start to the game, you're pretty much going to get 8th if you can't make it to level 8 with a decent amount of health. Whereas Darkstar, let's say you get destroyed in the early game, you could go ahead and just roll at level 7 and be completely fine that game. That's what I like about Darkstars a lot. But yeah, it's the same comp as we've always been playing. Jarvan with Warmogs. You want 4 Darkstars, so like Jhin, Shaco, Jarvan, maybe like a Karma before you get Xerath, maybe like a Lulu or Soraka to get Mystics. You don't need Xerath, he's completely optional. In fact, you really only play him if you get perfect items for him, so if you don't have Quicksilver Sash and Rageblade, you might as well just keep playing Shaco, Jarvan, and Jhin with Karma instead and run the Mystic package. It's all really good. Next up, we have the BBQ Rumble build. So I can't tell if this is a B tier or C tier comp. If you get a good start for BBQ Rumble, go ahead and play it. That means getting a Jeweled Gauntlet early and you have like a Ziggs Rebel start. Go ahead and play this composition because it does destroy a lot of teams. You just have to hit it. It's like playing Mech, you know, but instead of playing the defensive items on Mech, you run Jeweled Gauntlet and Titan's Resolve. Eventually, once you get Rumble 3-star, you sell the Mech and then play BBQ Rumble. A mistake I see a lot of players making is that they play BBQ Rumble right away and they don't really stray from that path. But no, in the mid game, you kind of need the Mech if you don't have a strong Rumble. So just go ahead and play Mech. And then once you get the 3-star Rumble, sell the Fizz, sell the Annie, and then just play this composition here. You really need the 4 Celestial because Rumble will be able to heal through everything. And even with a healing reduction on Rumble, he'll still kill everything and heal his full health bar. Karma is just to protect him, to give him even more shields, because you're pretty much going all in on one champion whenever you play this composition. That's pretty much it for the champions. Let's go, or for the compositions. Let's go to the items. So items, same as before. Just don't get Rod or Negatron. Everything else, if you start with one of these 6 items, you're not going to be disappointed if you're a flexible player. There's some compositions that like really need certain items. For example, if you go Astro Snipers or Vanguard Mystic, you really want to get the tier. If you go for the Bang Bros or 6 Blademaster composition, you really want the bow. If you're going Cybernetics or Xayah, the glove is going to be super, super important. Obviously, there's still best starting items for certain compositions, but since so many compositions are good, it's really hard to say what the best item is. It just depends on what compositions you are comfortable with and what you know how to play. Because if you're ever trying to experiment with new compositions, you're not going to beat the guy who played that composition 20 games in a row, you know? So just stick to what you know. If you want to climb, or if you want to like learn other comps, just be ready to accept that you're going to lose a couple of games here and there. But again, each item depends on what composition you go. I think overall Glove is the best because it fits in every composition. You could always build a Shroud, for example, and it builds both defensive and offensive items. That's why I really like the Glove right now. Onto the item quadrant, they buffed Hand of Justice, so I adjusted this for that. Shojin is a little weaker now. The Ashe comps are not as popular as they were before. Shroud got nerfed a little bit, but it's still really strong, so I'd keep building it if I were you guys. Just because the meta is really cast heavy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. In case you guys don't know how to use this, you pretty much want to build the items on the top right because they are both strong and versatile. You want to avoid the ones on the bottom left because they're both situational and weak. But that's about it for this meta snapshot. So if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. I at least read everything and I try to answer as many questions as I can. If I don't end up answering your question, it's nothing personal. Sometimes notifications just slip by, but if you do really need the question answered, head on over to my Discord, BunnyMuffins.lol/Discord. That's in my contact section as well. So go ahead and click this button here on my website if you want to join the Discord. There's also a link in the description below, so you should definitely check that out. And again, like Twitter, Instagram, I'm pretty much on every social media outlet, so definitely want to check that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I'll be streaming on YouTube for the first time today on Friday, so if you don't want to miss that, 3 p.m. US Eastern time. So I hope to see you guys there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope to see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe. And of course, smash that like button. Each like is an LP I gain before the next video.